Going on, guys? Antonio here. Do me a favor and hit that thumbs up for me, and let's get into it. Actually, before we get into it, I want to introduce uh, a very lovely guest, my beautiful bride, Elizabeth. Say hello, Elizabeth.
Hello, Elizabeth.
No, don't try to be funny. Okay, all right. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Now, why is Elizabeth here? Well, HBO Max, or well, I guess it's just Max now. They rebranded it. Max started streaming the Barbie movie. Actually, they started streaming it this past Friday. They went into the weekend with it. It's trending. I looked on like Google searches and stuff. I guess putting it on Max, putting it on a streaming platform. It is one of the biggest. It's probably the biggest movie of the year. There's only two movies in 2023 that hit $1 billion, and one is the Super Mario Brothers movie, and the other is Barbie. Fast X did like over 600 something $1 million, and even like Quantum Mania and those movies are doing $300-400 million. But it's Barbie is Barbie, and obviously Super Mario's is Super Mario. But we decided, myself and my wife, we decided to watch Barbie because we didn't go to the theater. And I remember at the time when it was still in the theaters, you had asked me, was that a movie that I wanted to watch?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to see it, but we tend to go to the movies together, and I was like, I don't know if my husband's going to want to see this one.
So, yeah, it's okay, so we didn't go, but it popped up on Max, and it was the weekend, so we was like, hey, it popped up on our recommends, so we sat down, and I should have had some liquor, but either way, we watched Barbie. And before I give my thoughts on the movie, Elizabeth, what did you think of Barbie?
Well, I really enjoyed it. I will say, after all of the hype, I don't know if I had built it up to be something where I was just going to have this, you know, emotional response and just be over the moon. I did enjoy it a lot. I thought that there were some really great themes. I loved the female empowerment. Obviously, I'm much more of a feminist than is my husband.
Okay.
But I did love several of the themes, and I thought that it was really visually creative.
I agree with that. They spent a lot of time getting, especially the Barbie Land stuff. They didn't just throw it together. I thought those sets, you could tell. And matter of fact, old girl right here, you can see she's got the Ken and Barbie, the suits and the weird tie dye.
Okay.
Yeah, she's got that. Yeah, she's got the stuff, and I mean and it looks like they made little Barbies of all the young ladies that were in the movie. So let's actually talk about that, because I don't want to tell you the obvious stuff is to point out, oh, John Cena was in it. You know, he had a cameo as a merman and the whole deal. Simu Liu from Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. He was a Ken. They had Kens of every race, including what's the young African dude that plays Doctor Who now? I can't remember. He's on Sex Education. I can't remember. I'm sorry, brother. I can't remember your name. But they had three members from Sex Education in the Barbie movie. That threw me off. Matter of fact, I'm gonna have to do some peeping, because Sex Education threw me off, because I love that show, and it was I've watched every episode of it. Gillian Anderson is a favorite of mine, but they had in the movie, they had Emma Mackey, they had let's see. That's actually, she almost played Lois Lane too. They were going to cast her as Lois Lane, but they had. Well, it's like, okay, hold on. I'm scrolling on different phones, but that's Emma Mackey. Oh yeah, O'Connor Swindles. He played the assistant. He was in a lot of the scenes with Will Ferrell, and I'm looking for the brother that's Doctor Who now. No, that's not him. Okay, hold on. Look at the top. Okay, I'm going back up. Yeah, my wife is a director. She directing shit. And oh, there he is. Nkuti Gatwa. He played a Ken. And so yeah, Nkuti Gatwa, who is now the new Doctor Who and the first openly gay Doctor Who, which that was this in the Doctor.
That's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother conversation because
But I actually really enjoyed all of the diverse representation.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that. So here's the thing: there was a scene where we were watching, and there was all the Barbies were sitting around having a conversation, and I happened to notice that one of the Barbies' voices kind of had a Herman Munster type vibe going on.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Well, I mean, I'm just being honest. There was one. Now, if I'm capping, tell me I'm capping. There was the scene I'm talking about, and I said that was a man. Was I that? Am I wrong? Am I lying to? And you was like, who? You did. She honestly did not know that there was a
trans woman.
Okay, yes, there was a transgender actress that was one of the Barbies, and I noticed it immediately.
Yeah, but I think one of the beauties of Barbie, as it has evolved over the decades, and I think one of the purposes of this film was to stop rolling your eyes at me, husband.
Yeah, okay.
Was to demonstrate that women can be whatever they want to be. That's one of the things that they really celebrated in this movie was all of the professions, and that you weren't limited by being a female.
Okay, I don't know what you just said, but I love you. Thank you. I was just like, yeah. Anyway, I thought that was weird. And you know what? It reminded me of. It was a couple months ago. Elizabeth and I, we sat down and we watched the updated version of West Side Story. The original West Side Story that Rita Moreno was in is a classic, and she won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. Now, this updated version with what's the guy from Diverse or whatever? I can't remember. I don't remember any of these actors' names. But the new version of West Side Story also won an Oscar, and there was a scene where the Jets were in there, and there was one Jet. It was a female, and she was like, I don't feel like a girl. And I was like, where did that come from? That wasn't in the screenplay. And so I was like, when you insert little stuff like that, and here's the thing, obviously, as a black man, I want diversity and inclusion, but I did feel like that was just kind of, it's like, hi, I'm Barbie. Hi, I'm Barbie. It's that kind of thing.
That's an exaggeration.
But I'm like, how did you not know? I noticed immediately that was a transgender person. Now, they do have a transgender Barbie doll. I think you can still buy it, but it was patterned after the actress Laverne Cox, who was absolutely fantastic on Orange is the New Black. I'm not hating on Laverne Cox, and obviously Laverne Cox is trans, but yeah, that was, they made a transgender Barbie in her likeness a while ago, and I remember that. But so they did have representations of different Mattel figures. They had everybody, because I remember I was sitting there with my wife and I said, "Where's Skipper?" They mentioned Skipper in the movie, but Skipper never appeared. But that Andy character, I never remembered. And I never played with Barbies though, so I remember seeing the commercials, because when we were kids, they actually used to show Saturday morning cartoons, and there were a lot of Barbie commercials on those sets. You watch the Smurfs, you'd watch He-Man, She-Ra, all that stuff, and there would be all this, My Little Pony, like they would be advertising on strawberry shortcake, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, meet Barbie and Skipper, I'd see all of.
Well, I mean, you've acknowledged that they have all of these various Barbies, that there is a trans Barbie, that there is, and we saw it featured in the film as well, a Barbie who is differently abled, who's in a wheelchair.
They've had the wheelchair Barbie for a while, though. I saw that.
Right. So, I mean, if Mattel is deliberate about creating dolls that are representative of the different types of people, it would be even stranger for them not to include it in the film than it would be for them to do so. I think it would have been more notable or a more glaring non-inclusion had they not included some of those Barbies, because the question would have been, well, if the story is meant to be all about empowerment, particularly female empowerment, why would you not include these dolls that Mattel has created in the real world?
Okay, that's actually fair. I did think there was one thing I did notice. It did seem to have a lot of man versus women stuff, including the final battle. It was the Barbies versus the Kens. You know what I'm saying? So it's not, I'm sitting here, I don't know. I love happy endings. I wanted Ken to get his Barbie and the whole deal. And she was like, no, I don't want to be with him. It was that kind of stuff.
So I love a happy ending just as much as the next person. But think about what that happy ending would have required. It would have required her to have feelings or profess feelings that she didn't have. It would have required her to give up her own self, her own dream for a man.
That's what she's supposed to do.
No. No.
What?
No.
No.
You
what?
would never ask me to give up my job to do something for you. You would never ask me to make that kind of change.
That is true.
So why would you think that it's okay in this movie for Ken to do that to Barbie?
Because it's not the real world, and that's the way I want to see things. I want shit like Donna Reed used to be back in the day.
I understand. Again, I'm a happily ever after kind of girl, but that's not the point of this movie. And you think about, I mean, we've already talked about, well, you talked about what a blockbuster it was. I mean, think about it. All of the young girls that went to see this, if the ending was designed to appeal to Antonio, what would the message be to all of those little girls? Sacrifice what you want, sacrifice yourself to make some man happy. I can't okay. Get on board with that kind of message.
Oh Lord. Okay. Well, do you agree with the men versus women thing? Because, like I said, they started off with, and they've talked about, like, Greta Gerwig, the director, Margot Robbie. They both talked about they are proudly this was proudly a feminist movie. It worked for them. Making $1.4 billion, especially in this economy, is impressive. Overall, I thought the movie, especially, I criticized Ryan Gosling. I thought he was a little too old to play Ken. His performance as Ken, I thought, was pretty. He earned his money. I thought he was, the musical numbers, the stuff like that. I thought he was funny. He was in great shape. That kind of I agree with him. I am Kenough.
You are Kenough, baby. I will say this before you close it out, because I am the whiff and I have to have the last word. Oh Lord, it's right. Here's the thing about the men versus women. I get that we don't want to perpetuate that kind of battle between the sexes, but the reality is that women live with that all the time. We saw that reflected in the real world, where you've got men in all the positions, most of the positions of power, and we still see women who make cents on the dollar to their male counterparts. So, I mean, we can't ignore reality, and that stuff really happens.
But Margot Robbie and the director, they all make millions of dollars. They're not broke.
Yeah, but this movie wasn't just for them. It was for women everywhere. And I liked it. That's what this woman says.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, the Bryces have spoken. It's going to be a long night. But I do appreciate everyone for actually listening to this. If you are still here at the end, I want to remind everybody you can go to ikaripress.com and pick up your pre-order copy of Brand Way of the Gun. There's also a preview from Brand Book 1 there. You can, there's a link in the description, or like I said, you can go to ikaripress.com. Also, give me a follow: Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm also on Threads, all at Ikari Press. Thank you. We are out.